ahead and get it rocking. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Life of a Champ podcast, episode number 90. And yes, I said it, 90, right? Now, this is a podcast that I probably should have made a while ago. And with my self development journey and all the things that I learned within the first like 2 or 3 years, I'm actually disappointed in myself. And I probably should have made this way earlier because that is something that they mainly talked about when it came to self development at that time on YouTube, right? Um, Shout out to AMS. If you know AMS, you know AMS. If you don't know AMS, he's one of the people that got me started on self development. But he always talked about putting your purpose first, and that is the topic for today. The topic for today is purpose over everything, right? And I didn't realize how I understood all the people within the self development space. They talked about putting your purpose above everything else, and they talked about it, and they just kept talking about it. And I kind of didn't fully internalize it until I kind of like lived it out myself, right? At that time I was a person just getting out of high school and just trying to figure out life, right? But I realized the importance of it once I found my purpose, right? At the time, me hearing that, right, didn't make any sense to me because, quite frankly, I didn't have a defined purpose, and I feel like that is something that most people do lack in this life is defined purpose. But we're gonna go ahead and get into that. But with that being said, if you're in here, appreciate you for stopping by. KJ, of course, holding it down as always. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like on the video, as well as make sure you go ahead and leave likes on my YouTube Shorts. I posted a few this week, as well as make sure you go ahead and follow me on TikTok, just Life of a Champ Podcast on TikTok as well. You already know what time it is, man. The goal over this year is to hit 1,000 videos posted, right? This year, I want 1,000 videos this year posted, right? So by the end of this year, I'll probably finish with about 1,300 videos on this channel. So support the journey, man. Support the journey. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and get started, man. We're gonna get started. Give me 1 second. All right. So, like I had mentioned in the beginning of the just beginning of this podcast, right? Most people lack a defined purpose, right? And this is something that I guess it's not something you can force. It's something that you can, help like you can expedite the process to an extent, but you can't exactly force it, right? Your purpose is just going to come to you, right? It's going to come to you at random times. It's going to come to you and you're going to see patterns. You're going to see patterns within your input that you're drawn to, right? That's going to lure you in to try to, it'll make sense. It'll make sense when it does come. That's what I will say, right? And for me, um, it's something that I recognize within the people that I was influenced by, and it's something that I definitely wanted to be for somebody else because, quite frankly, I definitely see myself as capable, as just as capable as all those people who inspired me, that I can inspire people myself, right? And that is why on the right, where you looking at this, maybe left side or right side, I can't. I think it's left side. Um, it should be the right side actually. Oh, yeah, left side technically, but um, yeah. You say it says involve to inspire, evolve to inspire. That is my purpose right there. That was the birth of when I found my purpose, right, and the entire importance of that, right. And if you're new to the channel, then I'll go ahead and explain it to you, right. Evolve to inspire, right. The only way for me to inspire anybody, I'd have to first take the steps in the form of the evolution of myself, and that is something that I have done, and obviously, I'm still in the process of doing. But yeah, that's the only way I'm going to help anybody is to be a perfect example. I won't say perfect example, but just be an example myself, right? Give me 1 second. All right, cool. So, like I said, most people lack a defined purpose. The only thing you can do when it comes to trying to search for your purpose is to do a few different things, right? There are some things you can do, right? Learn new things, have new experiences, and talk with people, right? That's going to help you find your purpose, right? Most people in this life right now lack purpose, right? If you see people who haven't achieved and who haven't amounted to as much as they possibly can, or haven't done enough, or they look unfulfilled within their life, it is probably because they lack a defined purpose, right? A lot of those people are too selfish, quite frankly. I'll admit that, right? A lot of people are too selfish. They do not want something bigger than themselves. They cannot focus on anything besides themselves. They're very, very selfish, like I had mentioned, right? But with that being said, this is something that you're going to need to be completely transparent on when it comes to your purpose, right? Like I said, a lot of people lack it. Don't be one of these people. It'll come in due time, but at the same time, you need to be looking for it, right? And if you don't know what your purpose is looking for your purpose. I've said that a few times on this channel. But yeah, that is, like I said, if you're a person watching this and you're not exactly 100% defined with what your purpose is to try to find it, right? That's as simple as that, right? And with the purpose, right? Purpose is going to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? Whether it comes to, their own defined purpose or what they define purpose to be for somebody else, right? Um, but yeah, what that looks like for me when it comes to, living out my purpose, like I had mentioned earlier, this is going to be me be an example myself, right? So when it comes to being an example of somebody that's truly trying to inspire, and trying to fulfill their purpose, I have to put the work in daily, right? And this is something that should go hand in hand with what your purpose should be. And your purpose should be fulfilled by putting the work in daily, quite frankly, right? So in every aspect of life, you need to make sure you're putting in the work daily. You're going to need to make sure you are checking off the boxes to the things you need to accomplish on a daily basis, right? Everything everything usually comes back down to the daily, right? If you are a person that's not doing enough, if you're a person that's procrastinating, it's all going to come down to how you act daily, right? If you're a person who is not exactly where you want to be, it is probably because you haven't been acting the way you should have been acting daily for the last, let's just say, a few years, right? And like I said, you got to make sure you're putting the work daily. No one else can hold you accountable besides yourself, right? No one's going to want you. No one's going to want you to, achieve something great in this life besides yourself. And of course, if you have a great support system, then maybe there's going to be a little bit more people. But in the grand scheme of life, right, there's not going to be that many people that truly want that for you. But so you have to go ahead and do it yourself for sure. And one thing I want to mention with purpose, right, is something that I recognize and something that I have recognized for a while now. But like I said, I'm surprised I haven't made this podcast. But it is understanding the distractions that come with you pursuing your purpose. So you need to recognize and remove the distractions. They're going to come in the form of many, many different things, but you need to recognize them first, right? You need to recognize that there's distractions that are going to be in this world trying to throw you off your purpose, throwing you off what you're trying to achieve in this life. Recognize them first. That's the first step. First step is understanding that you need to recognize them. Second step is actually recognizing them. And third is to remove them if they need to be removed, right? And if they're a distraction, realistically, you should be able to remove them. Um, yeah, but with that being said, yeah, this is going to come in the form of people. This is going to come in the form of, you know, perceived things that you need to do. This is going to come in the form of, um, and maybe, like I said, maybe even some things that you think that are important, but in reality, they're not really important. Um, yeah, just understanding exactly where everything is on a hierarchy, essentially, of importance, right, for yourself. But yeah, you must recognize and remove the distractions when they do come. And at the very least, if you can't remove them or if you don't want to remove them, you need to at least limit your time, limit your attention, limit your focus when it comes to them. Because if not, you're going to be thrown off. And if you're a person that's not trying to get thrown off their purpose, like I said, you need to be very, very conscious of these things, right? And one thing I want to mention with that specifically, right? I mentioned how people can be distractions, and that is 1000% the truth, right? A lot of people are going to come into this life and they're going to be in the form of a distraction. Maybe they even have some good intentions, quite frankly. They could still be a distraction for you and throwing you off your purpose, right? I've seen it time and time again where there's people who came into my life or people that are in my life right now who do have good intentions, truly, truly have good intentions, but I still perceive them to an extent as a distraction. And with that being said, you need to act accordingly, right? Like I said, remove your time, remove your attention, remove your focus, um, or else they're going to throw you off your purpose, right? And more specifically to men, right? Young men, which is hopefully my target audience, right? More specifically to you guys, women are going to throw you off your purpose all the time, and you must recognize a good woman from a woman who is, trying to throw you off your purpose, right? And even sometimes a good woman will kind of throw you off your purpose to an extent, right? Unintentionally, of course, but it is your job. It is not their responsibility to recognize that, right? It's your responsibility to go ahead and recognize that, and then therefore do what you got to do, right? Like I already mentioned. But yeah, do not get too distracted with women, right? It's very very it's if you're a young man watching this, right? It's very easily you can get easily distracted by women, right? It's this shiny object, right? But at the end of the day, they're always going to be there, right? And you know what also is going to be there, right? And here's the thing: specific women won't be there for you always, right? and that's something that you really need to take into account, right? If you're a person who's who got broken up with, right, for example, there's something that will never break up with you if you truly focus on it enough, and that's going to be your purpose. That's why purpose, and something that I think a lot of people need to realize, is purpose should be the number one thing in your life, the number one pursuit, the number one thing in your life for sure, right? And I feel like there's a lot of women nowadays that you tell them, you tell that to them in some type of way. You don't say it exactly like that, but you tell that to them, and they kind of get offended because you're not putting them above your purpose. But a good woman will understand her place in terms of importance of the value hierarchy that you do have for yourself, right? So any woman that comes into my life will understand what is most important to me, and that is going to be my purpose, right? And any person that comes into your life should recognize that at the top of your value hierarchy is going to be your purpose. The top of the top of your attention hierarchy and the top of your focus hierarchy is going to be all purpose for sure, at least initially. But yeah, like I said, recognize the distractions, remove them, and like I said, they can even come in the form of women and even people that are close to you that might be somewhat good for you to an extent. They can still be a distraction. That's just being the brutal. That's the brutal, honest truth right there. Along with that, right? Any struggles that you have in this life, right? Any struggles you have with women, any loss you experience, any issue you have, any inconvenience you have in this life should all be put back into the self, right? In some type of way, you need to frame your mindset to it all leading back to your purpose. Give me one second, hold up. And yeah, that's something I want to mention as well, right? Most of the solutions to all your problems within this life, of course, there's going to be some that are outliers, but most of the solutions to all your problems that you have currently right now can go back to not having a clear defined purpose, or at the very least not constantly pursuing that or not prioritizing that enough, right? And that is something that I found out probably over this last year, right? 2022 has definitely been a year where I've definitely recognized that. I've definitely recognized that, and I recognize that if I just put more work in, I'd be closer to the person that I want to be, and I'd be closer in living the lifestyle that I want to live, quite frankly, and I would be fulfilling my purpose, which ultimately would bring me the most satisfaction in this life. So yeah, understand that most of your problems are gonna be leading you back to the purpose, which is, like I said, which is number one. Do something in life for the people, because the people will thank you for helping them with their lives, as well as a huge possibility for rewards in your life by fulfilling. Yeah, exactly. James Harden, what are you talking about? Okay, sure. But yeah, yeah, understand, and recognize the importance of your purpose and having a purpose specifically. If you're a person watching this right now, I appreciate you for stopping by. Make sure you go ahead and leave a comment, just like to see who's in here. But yeah, I'll go ahead and move on right now. Give me one second. All right. Yeah, and I didn't say this already, but giving you my purpose, right? And like I mentioned, you need to be clear and defined with your purpose. My purpose specifically, and this is something that I have been saying for over a year now, right? And this is something that I feel like you should have for yourself, right? If somebody asks you, "Hey, what is your purpose?" You should be able to define, which most people do not ask that question because, quite frankly, they're just not capable of having that deep of conversation, right? But if a person were to ask you, "Hey, what's your purpose?" You need to have a defined answer. You need to have a defined answer. So my answer is this: when somebody asks me, "Hey, champ, what's your purpose?" I say, "My purpose is to inspire, empower, and influence, or not influence, educate the ones around me and of my influence." Right? That is going to be my first answer for sure. Right? And with that being said, that can mean a lot, and it definitely should be something that's much grander than yourself, and it should be able to create a bigger impact than just, like I said, your life in general, right? This should be something inspire for all. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I appreciate you for stopping by. Um, but yeah, this is something bigger than yourself. This is something that, like I said, you need to stop being selfish and create a purpose that is going to be bigger than yourself for sure. Because ideally, you should be trying to leave an impact that supersedes your life. Because obviously, in this life, we're not here for that long of a time. But with that being said, you must recognize that there's going to be people that are going to be after you, and you want those people to be set up the best way that they possibly can. And that is by the only way that can happen, it truly, truly, is by you living up to your purpose, and hopefully giving them the lives, or leading them to live the lives that they truly want, right? So yeah, like I said, 6 people in here. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Make sure you leave a comment. Just like to see who's in here. GDP, I see you stopping by as well. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, and another thing I want to say, and it's a video that I made early on on this channel, right? And this is one of the pre-recorded videos that I have made. But I talked about finding as many ways as you possibly can to bring your purpose to life, right? So, for example, right, I told you what my purpose is, right? It's to inspire, empower, and educate the ones around me and of my influence. The way I'm doing this, right, is by doing something like this right here, trying to help as many people as I possibly can, by giving them the advice that I wish I had when I was much younger, right? Or maybe, some advice that, let's just say you are a person that is, older than me and you truly have not had that advice given to you. I would like to give that advice, and that is how I'm fulfilling my purpose, right? So yeah, this is deeper. This is deeper than the why is deeper than most people's whys for why they do something like this, for example, right? So yeah, it has to be that deep, fellas. It has to be that deep, and it should be that deep, right? You should only be pursuing things truly if it's going to fulfill your purpose to an extent. And that's why it's hard for me to pursue things outside of things that I truly want to pursue, because I already know what the main focus is. I already know what my purpose is. So trying to pursue anything outside of that, this is definitely hard for me for sure. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, so yeah, this is gonna look. There's gonna be many different forms that your purpose can take shape in, right? And if you're a person, let's just say you have a clear, defined purpose, right? But you don't know exactly how you want to fulfill it, right? Just be an observer. Be an observer for a few months, rather. Recognize people who have the same type of influence or the same type of purpose that you do. And with that being said, recognize the little things that they do and get inspired. Truly get inspired. And from there, you can now adjust your life and adjust the things that you want to do based off of inspiration you got from somebody who's fulfilling the same thing that you're fulfilling, and who's living out the same purpose that you're trying to live out, right? Yeah, that inspire part is definitely super important. And I feel like people don't even recognize how important it is to feel inspired and to be inspired. It is one of the most empowering feelings that you can possibly have, for sure. But with that being said, like I said, recognize other people that are fulfilling their purpose, and it is also similar to yours. And then from there, like I said, I'm not saying copy them. I'm saying, take things from different people and make it your own. Pretty much, that's what I'm trying to say. And also, think of some new ideas. Hopefully, those things that you observe from those different types of people, hopefully, give you some new ideas, so you can, like I said, fulfill your purpose the best way you possibly can, for sure. All right. And with that being said, something I want to mention as well: do things directly and indirectly that contribute to your purpose, right? So for me, for example, right, this is something that it does fulfill my purpose. It does give me a sense of fulfillment. And you already know what I'm about to say, right? This is going to be, I would say, this is somewhat indirectly influencing my, or contributing to my purpose. This is going to be working out, right? This is a champ commandment. This is a champ commandment. If you know, you know. With that being said, yeah, I would say it's something that it's indirectly contributing to my purpose, because I know I have to be an example, but I'm doing something that is contributing to me eventually becoming an example, right? That is by being in the gym as much as I possibly can, right? To build the body that is going to be respected by many, right? And if you're a person that doesn't exactly have a body that is respected by a lot of people, it is definitely a worthy pursuit, right? Um, you definitely want that, more specifically as a man. You want a body that's going to command respect when it comes to you walking into a room, for sure. Um, and that is something that I would deem to be something that is indirectly contributing to my purpose, because ultimately, if I'm able to, have this presence, have this physical presence, I'm able to command the room better. I'm able to, get people's attention more. I'm able to be um, fulfilling my purpose essentially by just doing that. Right? There's many different areas that can be indirectly contributing to your purpose, but like I said, try to figure these things out for yourself, right? This is going to be specified to every single person and customized to every single person's life. But hopefully, you can take something from what I'm saying and apply it to your life for sure. Champ inspired me, man. Appreciate it, KJ. Appreciate it, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Exactly. That's the only way, man. That's the only way, man. All right. And yeah, another thing I want to mention is something that I haven't mentioned yet. Give me 1 second. This is going to be this is going to be also what I recognize, and I think I kind of referred to it a little bit earlier. But this is how men nowadays are so lost, and they're lost, and they also do not have proper guidance. They don't have videos like the videos that I'm posting. Um, they do not have a clear and defined purpose, and it's hard to live life very aimlessly. It's easy and hard to live life very aimlessly, right? Um, they're not living life; they're being lived, right? And it is as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. But yeah, I see a lot of men nowadays that truly do not have a defined purpose, and they do things without intention. They do things without thinking. They do things without a clear focus, and then they wonder why they have these negative emotions constantly haunting them, and it's because they do not have something to truly live for. And that, like I say, it really is just like that, right? If you're a person that doesn't know what you're doing on this earth truly, then you're just going to be lived, man. You're just going to be lived. You're just going to be what I would deem to be an NPC. You're just going to be a person that is just existing. Um, so like I said, if you're a person right now who has experienced negative emotions from, and you don't exactly know where it's coming from, um, understand that you're probably lacking in some facet of your life. You're lacking some purpose, and you're not living the most fulfilled life you possibly can by not having that clear and defined purpose. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And with that being said, as well, right? This kind of goes hand in hand with women as well. Women are choosing life paths right now, and they do not have a true intention and purpose of how they should live their lives. They're a victim as well, right? I would say women are also unconsciously lost more than they would like to admit, and part of it's because they do not think bigger than themselves, right? They're very they became very self sufficient to the point where they cannot think anything outside of their self sufficiency and their independence, right? They're so fixated on independence and things like that that they don't realize that this life is so much bigger than themselves, right? They can't get out of their own head. They can't see bigger than just the next day. Truly, at least that's something that I recognize, right? Within a lot of women that either a lot of women that I have talked to or a lot of women that I have observed, um, they're lacking that true sense of purpose. They're lacking something that is bigger than themselves. And I do believe that men and women definitely view this slightly differently, slightly differently. Um, but yeah, like I said, that is definitely going to be a negative contribution to society if you're a person that is lacking purpose. Because you're just going to be doing things and not, like I said, not having any reason to do that. You're just doing it because it just feels good. You're going based off of just feeling alone, and it's like you're playing darts with the blindfold on, pretty much, right? You're just shooting, man. You're just shooting, right? And that is truly how I see some people nowadays, for sure, men and women, right? They're just, like I said, they're playing darts with the blindfold on, man. Trying to hit the target, but at the end of the day, man, they can't even see if they hit it or not, man. It's as simple as that. What was I going to say? Yeah, more specifically with women, like I said, I feel like women's purpose is going to be slightly different um, than a man's purpose. More specifically, I would say a woman's purpose is going to lie somewhere within the people around them, quite frankly, right? Fulfilling their purpose, fulfilling the role that they want, fulfilling the role and being the best person that they can be for somebody else, right? I feel like that's truly their one of their main roles and one of their main purposes in this life. And I feel like a lot of women they get so offended by by that perspective instead of understanding truly what that means. And it's because if it's something that if I say something or somebody says something that's outside of themselves, then they just, like I said, they just have a fit. Honestly, that's truly what I see. Um, but yeah, I would say, and this is something that I said on one of the clips that I just posted today. Men are more interested in things, and women are, for the most part, more interested in people. Right? That's why you see women choose certain career paths and men choose certain career paths. That's why you see certain men interested in certain things, and that's why you see women interested in certain things as well. And that also is going to go back to the purpose for sure. Um, yeah, that is also going to go back to the purpose, right? Simple. Another thing with this, right? Let's just say you're a person, you have your purpose, or you don't have your purpose, and you're considering giving up, or stop doing the things that are benefiting your life. This is something that I want to emphasize on for sure. You must never have this option in your mind of just giving up. You can never have that option in your mind ever, right? A lot of people are living life right now with this paradigm that it's okay to quit. It's okay to give up. And you need to switch that and saying you have no other option. You have absolutely no other option but to keep pushing, but to keep trying to pursue your purpose. You have no other option in this life, right? There's not a better decision you can make than to try to pursue your purpose. Truly, truly, there's not. Um, yeah, yeah. Just don't give up. Just it's simple. It's as simple as that, man. Just don't give up, man. Yeah, you have no other option. You have no other option but to keep pushing. You should not give yourself a way out. You should not give yourself a way out. And I know it sounds kind of restrictive to an extent, but it like I said, it's within your best interest for sure. Um, yeah, but never give yourself a quitting mindset, and never truly evaluate it as an actual option for you to choose within your life for sure. Yeah, don't give up on yourself, man. Don't give up on yourself. If you need that encouragement, hopefully that's going to give you the encouragement that you needed. Um, but with that being said, so yeah, that is pretty much what I have to say when it comes to purpose. So I appreciate everyone stopping by. I want to know your guys' viewpoint on what you deem to be purposes for your life, or if you have any questions surrounding purpose and how to find your purpose, make sure you go and leave them in the comments. Or let's just say you like a certain point that I made, make sure you go and leave in the comments as well. I appreciate it. All right, give me 1 second. Let me get some water. Right. Come on, fellas. Where y'all at, man? Where y'all at in the comments, man? Also, if you're watching this, make sure you go ahead and leave a comment. Also on your favorite part, or if you have a question regarding purpose, make sure you go ahead and leave in the comments as well. I'll be answering all the comments that are sent to me at least, right? All right. Or also maybe if I'm missing something, right? If you expected me to say something regarding purpose, right? And I didn't say it, make sure you go and leave in the comments as well. Yep, 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 yep. Also, if you're on Twitch, make sure you go ahead and leave it in the comments as well, just so I can see. My boy's back. My boy's back. I just checked on Twitch chat. Appreciate you for stopping by, man. I'm just gonna say, yeah, lovers only. Appreciate you for stopping by again. All right. Yeah, one thing I want to mention as well, right? With purpose, right? Use all the difficulties of life and put them back into what you need to do, which is fulfilling your purpose, right? Any struggle, any negative emotion you have can be put back into purpose in some way or another. You need to alter your mindset to try to redirect it back into your purpose. Like I had mentioned, most of the problems that you will have, um, the solution is going to be fulfilling your purpose. The solution is going to be doing whatever you can do to fulfill your purpose. Really, that's really how it is. That's really how it is. So, like I said, any negative emotion, any struggle you're having right now, the more solid you make your purpose, the more easy your life's going to be. Truly, right? A lot of things come after. A lot of things come after Hold on, man. He said, "Where's Anthony?" Man, he's at the gym, man, getting the gains in, man, as usual, man. Yeah, fulfilling his purpose, that's for sure. But yeah, be a person who's going to be fulfilling their purpose. Simple, right? If you want to live the most complete life you possibly can, it is going to all go back to your purpose. It's all going to go back to your purpose. All right. Yeah, I pretty much said what I needed to say on this podcast. So, like I said, if you're in here and if you have any questions regarding anything, or you have a comment saying that I'm missing something when it comes to purpose, make sure you leave in the comments. Also, one thing I want to mention as well with the women in their purpose, right? What I would do if I were you is this: look at the most fulfilled women that exist, right? The most fulfilled women that you observe, right? How did they get there, right? What did they pursue? What was their purpose? Observe what their purpose was, right? You'll see that a lot of it's going to come back down to the family life, right? The people around them, supporting the people around them, being the best version of themselves for the people around them, right? And that is also why that you can also use that same thing for men, right? Look at the men, right? Whose purpose you can see their purpose being fulfilled in ways that are much bigger than themselves. Like I said, more focused on things, truly more focused on things. Also for the people in their lives, but indirectly for the people in their life. If that makes sense, right? Um, yeah, I feel like that's truly how it is, right? A man's purpose is going to be something outside of people that indirectly affects the people around him, and I feel like a woman's purpose is going to be for the people directly to the people in their life that they want to support and that they truly love. Um, why do people slip away from their potential? They slip away from their potential because they cannot get rid of the distractions. They don't recognize the distractions. They're so okay with just, doing whatever it feels good in the moment. And life is much more than what feels good in the moment. If you do what feels good in the moment all the time, you'll be in the same spot for the rest of your life. You will not make any progress, and you won't be interested in anything besides doing the same shit over and over again. Simple. Like, why do people say something but then not be consistent with it? Like I said, they're easily distracted. They're truly easily distracted. They do not have a clear focus. They do not have a clear why. It's not deep for them. They're living life very superficially, right? Yeah, it is just as simple as that, right? They're living life very very superficially. This might be the reason that people have not found their purpose. Exactly. That's exactly right. Um, like I said, this to find your purpose in general is going to take a lot of what would I say self reflection. It's going to take a lot of self analysis. It's going to take a lot of asking the right questions. It's going to take a lot of having the right people around you. And with that being said, that is the only way you're going to be able to find your purpose. All right, give me 1 second. All right. Yeah, and yeah, it's simple. It's simple as that, man. Simple as that. Yeah, when you don't have a clear why, life is so much harder to live. You it almost feels like things are against you, right? And that is something that I personally experienced when I was a person not being clear with their why and being clear with their purpose. It's gonna seem life's gonna seem very very loose, right? It's gonna seem very very pointless. It's going to like I said, you're going to be asking yourself a lot of questions and scratching your head truly, um, because things are not gonna make sense. They're not gonna make sense, right? When you're a person who has a clear vision for their purpose and who's constantly fulfilling it, you're not asking yourself why. I feel like a lot of people do not observe people. They don't observe people intentionally, right? I'm a person who always has always observed people intentionally, right? What are the commonalities between people who are the most successful and the most fulfilled in this life? What are the commonalities? Write down or be a constant observer of why they do the things that they do, how they do the things that they do, what are they doing for, right? Man, come on, now stop playing, man. But yeah, more specifically, like I said, be an observer of that's how anyone should live life, right? The people who are the most happy, what do they do? The people who are the most fulfilled, what do they do? The people who have accomplished the most amount of things, what do they do? Ask those questions and you're gonna have way more answers. You're going to have a better blueprint for how you should live your life, right? And I feel like people overcomplicate these things. People truly overcomplicate these things, and it's not something that you should overcomplicate because it is simple. It is simple. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's simple. It's not easy to do, but it's simple. It's simple in the sense of understanding why they do it. Why did they do the things that they do? What things do they specifically do? Um, yeah, it's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. They all have common things. They all, whether you like to admit it or not, you think that everybody's completely individual, but that's not the case, right? Everyone is individual to an extent, but there is patterns in the behavior, truly patterns in the behavior. Yeah, you just need to be a person who's observant enough to recognize that. Corey, appreciate you stopping by. My dog, appreciate you, man. Yeah, we just got done talking about purpose. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know plenty about purpose, man. He's on his self development journey as well. But I appreciate you for stopping by, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end off here in a few minutes. Like I said, if you have any questions regarding purpose or how to fulfill your purpose, make sure to go ahead and leave them in the comments. All right. Hmm. Yeah, I want to reemphasize this because I said it, and like I said, people, it's gonna go over a lot of people's heads, but you need to understand this so thoroughly. This is why I have to emphasize this again for the third time. Understand that most of the solutions to your problems that you have in life are all going to go back down to the purpose that you have. If you're lacking purpose, it's because if you're lacking purpose, it's because you haven't asked enough questions, and you haven't realized what's truly important within this life. It is as simple as that, man. It is simple as that, man. But yeah, recognize that all the like I said, whether it's look at certain problems that you have in your life in certain endeavors, right? Why is it not exactly the way you want it to be? It is because you haven't built yourself up enough within fulfilling your purposes. That's what it's going to come down to. And once you recognize that, like I said, for example, right? Let's just say you're a person who's not great with women, right? The reason you're not great with women is probably because you're lacking purpose in this life. You're lacking you're lacking the foundation, right? Purpose is a part of the foundation truly. And if you're lacking the foundation, how are you going to ever have somebody come into your life? Or how are you ever going to expect somebody to come into your life and to truly want to be and stay in your life? If you do not have the basics down. If you don't have it down, then of course you're just going to be aimless. Of course you're going to um not have a clear purpose for sure. All right, my man. Only ask me questions that are going to be related to the podcast. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate your like I said, just only ask me questions regarding the podcast, man. Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm gonna reemphasize this as well, right? Any struggles you have, man, any struggles you have with women, any struggles you have with just experiencing loss in this life, any difficulties you have are all going to be resolved, truly resolved back down to your purpose, man. It's as simple as that. All the feelings, all the negative feelings you have, all the positive feelings you have, it should all be recycled back into fulfilling your purpose and into yourself. Understand what your purpose and true mission of life is, and go ahead and go from there. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one off in here in a few minutes. Like I said, if you have any more questions, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll give you all about 4 more minutes. Um, yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything else, man, make sure you leave them in the comments. Other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here in a minute. I have given y'all the game for the day for sure when it comes to purpose. That's for damn sure, right? And hopefully you could take something from this podcast, because there's probably there's definitely a lot you can take if you're a person that is not fulfilling your purpose on a daily basis. Yeah, and it does come down to that, right? Are you fulfilling it on a daily basis? Can your purpose change if you change, or if your goals or needs change? That's a good question. That is a really good question. Um, the way I would answer that specifically is yes, it can change to an extent. The magnitude of the impact and purpose you're trying to fulfill can change for sure, right? And I would say, in a way, it would kind of get broader, if that makes any sense. I think it can get broader. The impact and what that means to you truly will increase in importance, but it'll become much more broad, and it'll uh, I would say I want it's almost is less defined, honestly less defined. But like I said, what that truly means to you inside is going to be a lot more important, and a lot more deep than what people must realize. And yeah, like I said, it's going to get more broad, and from it getting more broad, you're going to have many ways and many different endeavors you can pursue that is going to eventually fulfill your purpose. That's what I will say. That is the best way I could possibly answer that. But yes, it can change to an extent. The importance is always going to stay the same. The foundations of what you define to be your purpose is always going to stay solid, but it's going to get probably a little bit more. Your lens is going to get a little bit more wide, and you're going to have more variety when it comes to fulfilling your purpose and how you see certain things fit within your purpose. That's what I will say. But yes, it definitely can change. Let's just say you're a person that is just trying to figure it out. It probably would change a few times. It'll probably change a few times. But you must realize that your purpose is definitely going to be something you resonate with. It's going to mean a lot to you. It should mean the most to you, truly. Um, and yeah, like I said, over time, it's only going to get the feeling and importance is only going to grow from there, for sure. Great question though, for sure. Great question. And more specific when it comes to your purpose, right? Purpose is going to look different for everybody. Find your purpose through trying to new things, learning more consciously, and observing the people around you thoroughly, right? And more specifically, who do you want to be like? Take little things from each person that you want to be like and create that person as yourself. That is something that I've done, and something that I think I really need to get back on when it comes to giving out the game. Back in one of the first podcasts that I did, I talked about, and I think it was one with Anthony for sure. I talked about the 10 heroic traits you should embody. So this is going to be from the people that you're truly inspired by or look up to in some sense, right? What are things that they do? What are ways in which they act? What are personality traits that they do have that you are inspired by and that you want to become or want to be like the best way you possibly can, or be your own version of? And from there, it's gonna be a lot more easier to live life, right? You're going to have more of a clear and definite route to go. That's what I will say. Like I said, your purpose is going to change over time as well. Like I said, it's going to get more broad for sure. But other than that, I appreciate everyone stopping by. This was episode number 90 of the Life of a Champ podcast, talking about purpose over everything. Long overdue podcast, but I'm glad that I went ahead and did it. Um, yeah, what's up, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Can changing your daily routine affect your purpose, since finding your purpose is based off of trying new things and acting a different way? Um, yeah, it should be able to affect your purpose, right? Like I said, the certain decisions you make on your daily basis should definitely influence your purpose for sure, right? It's because here's the thing: it's gonna dictate where you lead, anyways. It's gonna dictate where you go, right? The direction you take in this life is all gonna go back down to the daily, and from there it will affect your purpose, whether you're doing the things you need to do, or are choosing the things more specifically that is going to be pushing you closer to your purpose. That's the way I would answer that. But other than that, fellas, like I said, I appreciate everyone stopping by. Make sure you go ahead and leave a like if you are watching. If you are just getting in right now, make sure you go ahead and rewatch it. Other than that, like I said, this was episode number 90 of the Life of Champ podcast, talking about purpose over everything. Like I had mentioned, right? Make sure you go ahead and leave a like on this video, as well as the YouTube shorts that I have posted, as well as the 8 to 10 minute long videos that I have posted as well. I posted a few of them this week. So if you can't catch a full podcast or do not want to watch a full podcast, honestly, but you still want to watch it to an extent, make sure you go ahead and tap in with those for sure. Other than that, like I said, make sure you follow me on TikTok as well. Life of a Champ podcast on TikTok as well. Other than that, fellas, we'll leave you guys off with this, man. Fellas, out here, man, we don't just work around here, man. We outwork. So make sure y'all working these motherfuckers every single day. And it's as simple as that, man. Make sure y'all working these motherfuckers simple. Y'all have a good rest of your night. And until the next podcast, I'll see y'all on Tuesday. Actually, one thing I want to mention as well. I'm glad I didn't forget this. So today is January 5th, right? If you're watching this on a different day, for me right now it is January 5th, 2023. With that being said, in 2 days is going to be the 1 year anniversary of this podcast. So I will be doing a live stream on Saturday for sure. So make sure you tap in with that. Who knows, it might even be a podcast. I'm still thinking on how I would like to do it. But stay tuned in for Saturday, because that is going to be the next day that I will be going live for sure. But yes, it'll be the 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Other than that, fellas, like I said, make sure y'all work at these motherfuckers. As simple as that, man. Y'all have a good night.